Good afternoon. Welcome to Chapter 14, the Persuasive Speech. There are three different kinds of persuasive speeches. There are persuasive speeches on questions of fact, persuasive speeches on questions of value, and persuasive speeches on question of policy. The organization that you will want to use on your speech will really depend on what kind of a speech you're giving. The questions of fact and questions of value speeches will generally follow a topical organization format. This includes a general purpose, a specific purpose, a thesis statement, followed by your supporting materials. On a questions of policy speech, it will really depend on, the format you use will depend on what the message is or what the point is that you're trying to get across. You can use a topical organization format, but you might find it more effective to use a causes and effect format or even a compare and contrast. In persuasive speeches, they focus on listeners' attitudes, beliefs, values, and behaviors. And generally, you'll want to accomplish one of the following goals in your persuasive speech. You either want to strengthen or weaken your audience's attitudes, beliefs, and values, or change their attitudes, beliefs, and values, or move them to action. You can view the effects of a persuasive speech on a persuasion of continuum scale. Either your audience strongly disagrees with you or strongly agrees with you or somewhere in between. The guidelines for persuasive speeching are the following. Focus on your audience. Ask for a reasonable amount of change. Anticipate selective exposure, and most importantly, use a motivating sequence. Motivating sequences are very important in persuasive speaking. They have 5 areas you want to cover. The motivating sequence includes the following 5 areas. Attention. Get your audience's attention. Need. Show a need for change. Satisfaction. Satisfy your audience's need for change. Visualization. Show your audience what it would look like if they took your suggested change. And action. Move your audience to action. Once you've established what your thesis statement is going to be in your persuasive speech, you'll want to start getting your supporting materials. There are 3 different kinds of supporting materials that you may want to use. The logical appeal, emotional appeal, or credibility appeals. In the logical appeal, you'll want to use specific reasoning with instances and generalizations, maybe a cause and effect, or reasoning from signs or clues. If you do use a logical appeal, make sure you avoid fallacies, which can include, don't attack the person instead of the issue, don't use false authority or implied authority, appealing to numbers as truth. For instance, these 40 people believe this, therefore it must be true. And avoid sliding down a slippery slope, because one thing can lead to another. In the emotional appeal, you want to refer to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This can be found on page 298 in your textbook, and it's a really nice summary of the different types of emotional appeals you can use. You can use self-actualization of needs, self-esteem needs, belonging and loving needs, safety needs, or physiological needs. And again, that's figure 14.2 on page 298 of your textbook. There's a little bit further explanation under each of those items there as well that you may want to refer to. If you're going to use credibility appeals, you want to take a look at whether or not you are believable. Show you're competent and knowledgeable on your topic. Examine your character. How are you perceived? Do you stress fairness? Your charisma. Are you pleasant and friendly? Do you demonstrate a positive attitude? Another key area that you'll want to take into consideration as you build your persuasive speech is culture. We've talked a lot about culture this semester, but it's very important, especially in the persuasive speeches. You'll want to know who your audience is before you begin writing your speech, as your persuasive speech will variance from the different types of audience and cultures that you're appealing to. There's 5 dimensions of culture relating to persuasive speeches, and they are individual and collectivist cultures. In these cultures, they like to emphasize on family, loyalty, national identity and pride. High and low power distance cultures. In these cultures, they like to refer to prominent people and what they believe. High and low uncertainty avoidance cultures. In these cultures, they value tradition and information from experts. Masculine and feminine cultures. These cultures are motivated by appeals to achievement, adventure, and enjoyment. And high and low context cultures. In these cultures, they like to use directness and detail. Again, take into consideration when you begin building your speech who your audience is going to be and what culture you may be speaking to. At that time, you can start looking at your persuasive speech and which one of the 3 persuasive speeches, question of fact, question of value, or question of policy that you would like to use. Good luck, and thank you for participating in our presentation. Thanks.